Welcome to a new episode of NFT Price Floor Podcast. Fasten your headphones and enjoy the ride.
GM, thank you so much for joining us, guys, today. Really happy to have every single one of you over here. So happy to see so many friendly faces as well. We have Modern over here, co-hosting as usual, over here with NFT Price Floor. Today we're going to be interviewing a top creator on base who just recently launched his collection. And it's going to be a pretty cool and interesting space. I can say that I'm a proud holder of one of those NFTs. But I just wanted to wish you guys a happy Friday. Hope you guys had a great week. Happy 4th of July for our American friends. And for the rest of the world, hope you guys are having a great Friday. Please go ahead and like and retweet the space. Try to get some more people over here. Let's make sure that we can go ahead and do that. Quick shout out to Nat Pudgy. Thank you so much for joining us. We got Stellar, we got JD, we got Snarky, we got Alex, we got Mel, Anik, and Crypto Diario as well, our top blockchain analyst. How's it going, bro? I'm just gonna go ahead and ask Modern to give me a quick update of your Friday, so that we can get started with our super duper special guest. How's it going, Modern?
Yo, GM, everyone. I am super excited for this episode, and I'm happy to have Jake on, dude. I saw base colors, and I've been playing around with the website a little bit, trying to pick the right color for me, and I could not be more excited, dude, to be speaking with him today. And yeah, man, I'm July 4th, dude. Yesterday was a great day if you're an American. Could not be more proud, and I look forward to a great conversation today, dude.
Awesome. So happy to hear that. So we're definitely going to go ahead and jump over to Jake. Jake, thank you so much for joining us today. It's great to have you here, man. How's it going?
Hey guys, how's it going? Noble Modern, thank you guys for having me. You guys have a great website, and I'm excited for the space.
Yeah, super happy to have you here as well. For those of you who don't really know what we're talking about Jake's recent project, Base Colors. So before I say anything else, I would love if, Jake, you could give us a quick intro, tell us a little bit more about yourself as well, if that's okay with you, and just share as many details as you can.
Yeah, sure. I can share, whatever is sort of useful and relevant on my story, but first I'll start with, base colors. Fundamentally, it's pretty simple. It's an NFT collection for every digital color, or the way we sort of have it in our one liner, every color on the internet. But basically, there's a universal standard for digital colors. It's called like the RGB model, and basically there's values of up to 256 sort of numbers for each of the yellow, or sorry, the blue, green, and red sort of like color elements, and when you combine them all, you get 16,777,216 different possible colors. Um, and so it's this sort of fundamental collection that I think lends itself really nicely towards being an NFT project. And then when you go and you do that, you realize like, wait, this has actually a lot of elements that are, quite unique and quite different from most NFT collections. Most NFT collections, there's maybe like 10,000 pieces in the collection. This, like I said, there's over 16 million. And what does that mean, for example, for the price? Well, it doesn't really make sense if there's 16 million supply for each one to be expected to get to a price in like the thousands, like CryptoPunks or Bored Apes, or tens of thousands of dollars, or whatever it is. You would expect these to be fairly low priced, and to stay that way over time, even if the collection were to get a super high valuation. Individual tokens should be available for like, I don't know, $10, less than $100, certainly, for a long time at least. And there's 16 million of them. So off the shelf, that's just a lot of tokens to sort of get minted. And so the idea is that this can be a very accessible entry point for people to do their first on-chain transaction for quite a while. We're not trying to like mint out on day one. I don't think that would have been reasonable or feasible, and it's just not really the goal. So we sort of have different metrics from a lot of existing NFT projects that we're paying attention to, and just excited to kind of run this different experiment and kind of see what happens.
Yeah, I love that. I remember, I think it was like 2 weeks ago or a week and a half ago, when one of our team members, he's actually down there. His name is Leco Madrej for some reason, but we call him Nano. He's one of the team members, and he was actually going through Warpcast or Fartcaster. I'm not like truly big in there, but he pretty much told me to join in, check it out, and he noticed that you were like pretty active and that you had just launched your project. And yeah, I joined in, checked you out. Love what you have done with your own website, which I 100% recommend that you guys check out, zerofjake.com. I I'll definitely ask you a few more questions about that later on.
Yeah.
And yeah, and I minted my own color, so I really like the fact that you can like name it, and it was a pretty smooth experience.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. First of all, I appreciate the kind words on the website. I'm like, you can kind of gauge my aesthetic pretty quickly, through my personal website, through basecolors.com. Like, I like things to be, very minimalistic. I like simple, and so like my website is just, a blue dot basically with some hyperlinks to my podcast and blog and stuff, and then the base colors website we tried to keep kind of simple, the same. Obviously we need some functionality on there, but since it's fundamentally a colors collection, we kept most everything besides the art itself and the color picker black and white. And it's just, I try to make it simple enough so that it's like I myself just I'm like very averse to like things that are complicated or confusing. That's why I say I like your guys' website as well. It's like very simple and sort of easy to understand what's going on. I just don't like when there's like a bunch of extra unnecessary stuff. And so with our project, with base colors, the idea, it's something that I originally thought of like a few years ago, probably around the time of the first like NFT, I guess the only really NFT hype cycle to date, when, Bored Apes came out and all that in like 2021. And I sort of thought like, okay, colors would be like a super interesting collection. And then I just kind of sat on the idea for a while. And when you sit on an idea for a long time and it continues to sort of like be at the top of, a long list of ideas that I'm always sort of like adding to it, it sort of is begging for some attention. And a few things sort of came together that made it the right time to build it. And I think I just got really lucky also with a combination of things. I think Coinbase Smart Wallet, for example, is huge for enabling this, what I think is like sort of a universally appealing collection of, it's just colors. Like, you don't have to have some affinity towards, a certain looking ape cartoon with a smoking a cigar or wearing goggles or whatever. Like, everyone has colors that they like, whether you like monkeys or penguins or whatever, everyone likes colors. And so it's pretty universally appealing. And we want to sort of do it justice by not only making it available at a universally, affordable price, like I mentioned earlier, but also having it be a universally accessible user experience, which, crypto is obviously not known for. Everything in crypto tends to be pretty clunky, pretty hard, and you kind of have to be a crypto native to like put up with the friction and figure out how to do things. But we want to make it really easy. And I think one of the ways we got lucky on sort of timing is Coinbase Smart Wallet just came out like a month ago. And in my view, it's like the first wallet that is feasible to like send to my mom and have her create a wallet. Like, that just wasn't feasible 2 months ago. So I think a few things are sort of coming together in our favor. And then, like you said, on being able to get your color, being able to name your color, the naming was something that was much later to like come into the project. Like, it wasn't something that I've been sort of thinking about for years. That was like when we actually went and started executing on the thing. I was like, well, you know what? Naming, I can tell sort of the backstory on it, but basically naming emerged as like this really interesting thing, I thought, where not only can you get this one of one color, but you can give it a one of one name. And then people can be like, well, I ascribe value to this color that's really important to me, or I ascribe value to this name that's really important to me, or both. Or even, early on, people have been going and minting, NFTs that the color actually might not mean much to them. And maybe the name's not that important, but the hex code itself has value. So like someone got the hex code coffee. So it's like CO or C0FFEE. and like that could be considered valuable. So like there's a few different angles on like a very simple project. It starts to be something where like, yeah, you can play like sort of the simple version. Someone told me it's like sort of the anti mid curve project where like on the left side of the curve, you've got people are like, I like colors, and like that's very easy. And then on the right side of the curve, you can have people like going crazy, like coming up with all these theories as to like what colors and what names might be valuable. And so I think it's interesting, and it's something that sort of people can get involved in as shallow as they want, or they can also go kind of like as deep as they want.
Yeah, I love that. 100% love that. I'm definitely like on the side that's just like I'm probably just gonna pick a color by the color, but I can definitely tell you, like Nano, he's big on like advertising and all these things. And I remember he kept on telling me like, no, we gotta pick like NFT price floors pink, at least like just to get started, right? And then he was just like, no, like after that, we're definitely gonna have to choose many other different colors that probably everybody's gonna want to use later on in this space. I don't know, what do you think, Modern? Have you minted your own whatever PFP color you got right there?
Dude, I have not. I'm actually on the website right now trying to figure out which one works for me. But quick question for Jake though. What was the motivation behind all this, dude? Like, like the naming your own color and like everything's kind of unique to one person. Like, what was the motivation behind all that?
Yeah, I don't know that there was like a single motivation. If there was a single motivation, I guess it was just you know I I I had the idea. I thought it was a good idea. I thought it was something worth doing, and I thought it was interesting. And like that's kind of enough for me. Like I don't need it to be some like I don't need to have like steps 1 through 12 of what this is going to be laid out and up front and like kind of obvious. I'm sort of a believer that if you have something that seems interesting and you're motivated to do it, even if you don't know why you're necessarily motivated to do it, it can actually be a good thing if you don't have like a why. I think if you have a why that sort of is legible to people in terms of like justifying why you're doing it, or if there's sort of like logic to why you're doing what you're doing, then it's something that sort of makes more sense, and that's fine. But if you're doing something just because you kind of want to and just because it's interesting and it like you're sort of excited about it, then and you can't really explain it as easily with like logic, then I think there's something to that like you're really just doing it out of like a pure desire. Like you really are just genuinely interested in the thing because you don't have like an outcome in mind, and you don't have like reasons A through C why you're doing the thing. You're just doing the thing out of interest. So I just think it's interesting. I think there's a lot of NFT projects out there that are kind of just like, you know, version 112 of kind of the same thing. Like, and nothing against these projects. Like some of them, I saw one the other day that was just another one of these like cartoon animal PFP projects, but I kind of liked the animals. Like they kind of looked cool, and it was like an animal that I liked. So I was like, I'll mint a few of those or whatever. So like, there's nothing wrong with any of these, but I think this is significantly more fundamental than most NFT projects out there. And for that reason, I think it's interesting. And I think early on, the response from people has been a lot more positive, honestly, than I could have expected just for having just launched. I thought it would be like a really long term thing to try to get people to dig what we're doing, but the start has been good, and so we're going to try to kind of keep going and just kind of follow our interests from here.
No,
Yeah,
yeah,
dude.
oh,
All right,
sorry,
you
go
go,
ahead.
Nomo. I was just gonna say, yeah, I thought that was really cool, dude. I do think it is an interesting kind of experiment, just to see like which color kind of code everybody kind of gravitates towards, like which side of the spectrum is more popular than the other. And I just thought it was really cool, like just the concept. So yeah, man, really cool, really cool.
Thank you. Yeah, and I don't want to lay too much on you guys sort of like all at once, but I do think there's kind of stages to this thing. Like I said, there's 16,777,216 colors. That's a lot for any NFT collection. I think ENS is the most, most people don't even think of ENS as NFTs, but technically they are. And that's like the highest supply collection that I think exists, or at least has the most owners or the most assets right now of any sort of known project. And I think they have around 3 million ENS names by maybe half that many owners, or it might even be less than half that. So it's just a big number. And at the same time, if you compare it to, fungible token projects, any like ERC20s or meme coins or whatever, it's not that big of a supply. It's, substantially less than Dogecoin or, most of these other meme coins that kind of play the unit price game where they try to have it start at like, 0.001 cents or whatever. And then ultimately, like if they can get to $1, it might be like $1 billion market cap or whatever. So if you compare this to that, then it's kind of a small supply. It happens to be a supply. Again, this is not something like a supply that we chose necessarily. We just followed the universal like digital color collection that exists, which is the RGB model. And it just so happens that there's around 16 million, and that just so happens to be, pretty close to like the Bitcoin supply. So if you're going to compare it to anything in terms of the supply, that's like a reasonable number. But obviously, Bitcoin's $1 trillion asset or whatever. So it's digital gold. It's a very different thing. But I think when I talk about the fact that there might be stages to this thing, like stage one, I think is, everyone gets the color that they want, they get the name that they want. At a certain point, some of the more popular and desirable colors and names might kind of be gone, like well before all 16 million are gone. And then you might have something where people are like, okay, well, the remainder are kind of like practically fungible, like they are different and we can name them whatever we want, but they're not really that meaningful. Like all the meaningful ones are kind of gone. And now we can start to kind of treat the rest of them as more of like a practically fungible token. And then it's like a meme coin, basically. And so it's like if you mint out the first million, let's say, and those are all like really personal and, really meaningful and people get good names. And then it just kind of could develop like kind of transition into like a meme coin. And then it's like, well, that's a whole different set of precedents that we have around meme coins. Meme coins can sort of like blow up overnight in terms of like the market cap. So I'm just, I'm curious to see how things go. Obviously, we'll try to keep building things in a direction to kind of help people along. But ultimately, it's not going to be up to me to determine like what this is or becomes. It's going to be up to all the people getting involved now and, for the future.
That's actually, I love what you said. Two things. First one, you did this because you think it's interesting. That's exactly what I read on your website. As I said at the very beginning, I'm not the type that's going to go on like the deep philosophical side of things and think that, oh, this is what this color means and this is why I'm going to mint it. But to me, as soon as I read, the about section on your website, and you pretty much said we created base colors because we believe it is interesting, and that's it. And we believe interesting things are worth doing. Like, I feel like that's how NFTs got started. If you go all the way back, people just, they were doing this because they thought it was fun. It could go on chain, and they wanted to see where this could go. And the other side is like how big the movement could be and like the collection could be. It's definitely something interesting now that you brought up ENS and all that, because I do believe like it could have some interesting potential towards the very end, at least like when slowly more and more and more colors are getting minted out, right? And you want to get like more people interested in the project, and some of them joining in simply because, oh wait, I don't want to be the one without minting the color, or I don't want to be the one who lost like his favorite own color, right?
Yeah.
So that's where I definitely think it's going to be like a pretty cool, interesting phase. So yeah, uh, I did notice that, you mentioned that there's no utility, no roadmap. There aren't any like really expectations for any secondary market activity. But I do wonder like what your thoughts are around any of that. Like I know we're just getting started, and we don't really know where this is going to go. But how has it gone with the base community in general, and how have they received the collection as well?
Yeah, I think the reception, like I said, has been really good. Quantitatively, we've got, I think, 11,500 colors minted and a little over 8,000 color owners. And it's been like a week since launch. So that's pretty good, I think. Obviously, in the scheme of 16 million, it's, hardly leaves a dent, but that's bigger than most, like we talked about earlier. Most NFT collections only have 10,000 in total. So it's sort of already surpassed that. And the number of unique owners I really like as well, being like 8,000 people already. It's just kind of a big number. There's not that many people in the NFT space overall. So I like the early reception, but then beyond the qualitative response has just been really positive. We launched, like, the first social post that we did was on Warpcast, like you mentioned earlier, and the people on there were just kind of like, I don't know, I've never launched a product that had such, like, emotional positivity attached to it. People are usually like, oh, like, I have a podcast, right? And like, I'll put out a good episode of the podcast. People are like, oh, that was great. Like, thanks so much. Like, I learned so much, whatever. Um, with this, it was like more of like I could just kind of feel like the emotion and like the meaningfulness of it, from people. And that was really cool to see. Cause like, obviously it's something that resonates with me. That's why I'm doing it. But it really resonated pretty universally, at least within, like, within Warpcast, which granted is like a very crypto native audience. But as I'm starting to even just myself send it to like friends and family, like I'll go out on the weekend for brunch, like last week, and talking to some friends who've never done anything in crypto, and they get it like immediately. Like, they know what color they want immediately. Like, they look it up. They Google what's the hex code of this color of the university they went to, or like the sports team that they like, or whatever, and then they look it up. And what was really cool actually was, like, last weekend, this was literally happening, and like my buddy looked up Alabama, like, crimson. He looked up the color code, and then he put it in on the website, and sure enough, like, it was already taken. So like, there's already people out there that are like, you know, thinking of the same color that they want, that someone else has already thought about and has reserved, and probably whoever got that probably named it, like Bama or Crimson or whatever. Um, so that's been pretty cool to see. And yeah, I mean, I think it's just cool when you put something out into the world. Like, we made a point to also get this out, like, very quickly. We've only been working on it for a couple of months, and I wanted to keep, like, the quality bar very high, but sort of the number of features we had for the first shipped product, like, very low, because you can't do everything. You can't have a million features and have super high quality and get it out there fast. So I wanted to focus on speed and quality, and I feel good that we did that. I feel good that it's at a place right now where if you show it to someone who's never done anything in crypto before, and you get them to go to the website on their phone, they can create a wallet in like less than 10 seconds, and they can mint a color in, another 10 seconds, especially if they don't even have to load their wallet with crypto. They can just pay with credit card, and they can use Apple Pay. That takes about 10 seconds. If they have to, not if they don't use Apple Pay and they have to enter their credit card information, maybe it's like 30 seconds or something. But you can very quickly go from like having never done
This space was downloaded via spacesdown.com. Visit to download your spaces today.
anything in crypto and never heard of this project to having your first wallet and owning your first NFT. And so, to the extent that like we have kind of adopted a mission, so to speak, or like a reason for doing this beyond just the fact that it's interesting, and it sort of is kind of pulling me to continue to work on it. The sort of mission that we've adopted early on, and that's resonated with people as well, is basically onboard on chain. How many people can we bring, and have them create their first wallet, have them own their first NFT, and ideally have them even spread it among other people who have also never created a crypto wallet, who have also never owned an NFT. And can we really expand beyond this still like pretty small pool of people who are in crypto, and even smaller pool of people who are, into NFTs at all?
Love that. Yeah, I really love that last piece. Anything that involves onboarding more people into the crypto and NFT space is just amazing. So, those last few words definitely really powerful in my opinion. I completely agree, because this is something that I can pitch to basically anybody, out there. I'm actually based in El Salvador, Jake. So, it's still a little bit hard to convince a lot of people in Latin America to get involved into crypto. Everybody here still thinks that it's either a scam or it's something that you probably should keep your hands away from. But yeah, this is something that it's definitely pitchable, and I can definitely see my mom minting this, especially with the whole smart wallet alpha that you told me about. I honestly had no idea. I'm not a huge like Coinbase user, but it's great to know that. I really didn't know any of that. And just before I let you take the mic again. Something really cool that I noticed is that, like for example, the four corners, like the hex, like the six zeros, sorry, the six Fs, three, four Fs, two zeros,
Hmm.
and six zeros have already been minted out, and you can even see the wallets that minted them. So my question is like, what happens if somebody uses a smart wallet and they buy the color, they buy the NFT with, like Apple Pay, for example, like you just mentioned? Does that still get shown there, and is it shown like in a different format, or how does that work? Sorry if I'm asking you like a
Yeah.
tech
No,
related
no,
question because I don't really,
no.
yeah,
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 no, that's great. And yeah, to your point, I just to sort of clarify for people listening who don't really know, if basically I think what you're talking about is if you go to basecolors.com and there's basically a color picker, like if you've ever picked a color on the internet for anything in like Figma or, just any sort of internet-based color picker, what we have on the website is something similar to that. There's like a slider that goes between the different colors, and then you can sort of like navigate around the spectrum and pick your color, and it'll show the hex code of the individual color. And so there's 16,777,216 hex codes. And to your point, some of the more like desirable ones, like the more obviously desirable ones would be, for example, FF, 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 that's pure white, or 0000000, that's pure black, or the blue that I use on my podcast and everything is 0000FF. And if you go to any of those, you can either enter it directly into the sort of like hex code entry box on the website, or you can pick it using the slider and the color picker. And if you come across one that's already taken, to your point, it won't show a preview of the color like it does if the color is available. It will show that that color is already taken and you can't buy it, and or at least you can't mint it directly. But what you can do is click basically a hyperlink that shows the owner of that color's address. And if you click that, it'll go to the OpenSea page for that color, and you can bid on that color to buy it from the current owner. So we try to sort of like facilitate that as well. Like if my buddy who I mentioned, saw that Alabama Crimson was taken and he actually really wants it, he can kind of know that whoever owns it, minted it for around $3 or whatever it was, 0.001 ETH is the price to mint a color, at the start. And so he can be like, well, this person bought it for $3, but I really love Alabama. I'd be willing to pay a lot more for that. He can go find the color on the website, click the owner, and see the page on OpenSea, and then he can put in a bid for, $30 or whatever he wants until it's a high enough price that the person wants to, accept the bid. To your question on Coinbase Smart Wallet, basically, there are some like sort of onboarding mechanisms with crypto that they don't give you like a self-custody wallet. Like they sort of made a trade-off of, let's make this as easy as possible for users to get an NFT. And the easiest way to do that is like, we will create a wallet for them, but we will house that. And we will like let them sign in with Gmail or something like that. And we're not doing that. Like every color that is owned will be owned by a self-custody wallet. And so what happens for paying with Apple Pay, for example, is you go to our website, you click, to connect your wallet. And if you don't have one, it says, you can create a wallet. You click that, you go through the Coinbase Smart Wallet flow. It takes about 10 seconds. It uses Face ID. It's really, for anyone who hasn't tried it, it's just way better than previous wallet creation flows by any other wallet, including Coinbase Wallet before Coinbase Smart Wallet. But also, MetaMask and Rainbow, and all those are great. Like I use Coinbase regular wallet, I use Rainbow, I use MetaMask, I use Phantom. But just in terms of the onboarding flow, Coinbase Smart Wallet, in my view, is like a 10x improvement that most people don't realize because it's only about a month old. And if you're already in crypto, you don't really have much of an incentive to create a new wallet. Like everyone's got enough wallets as there are. But anyone who does create that Coinbase Smart Wallet, they create that, they have their own wallet that's self-custody wallet, and when they go and they pay with credit card, it mints the NFT to their wallet. It's not to like some non-self-custody wallet account or something. Like it actually mints to their smart wallet, and it will actually have like an OpenSea page that shows that it's owned by that smart wallet. And whether or not they see that people are bidding on it is like a different question, but at the end of the day, like every color will be owned by a self-custody wallet that people can go and buy and sell and do whatever they want.
Really cool. Yeah. I love that. I just learned something new. So that's exactly what I wanted to ask you because I had no idea about the whole smart wallet thing going on. And I can tell you that there's already some internal competition going on with the NFT price floor team because one of our team members just recently minted FFAADC, and he's
Nice.
claiming to have the NFT price floor pink logo collar, I guess. But Nano immediately jumped over and he was like, "No, bro, like our CEO already minted that pink." So now everybody's just wondering which pink he's just talking about, you know. But yeah, I, I like that, you know, like it's pretty much what you were saying about Bama and everything. Like it's something relatable and it's something that makes people want to be like, "Hey, I wanna own this color, this specific color on chain." So that would be pretty dope. Modern, how's it going on your side, Modern? Have you made up your mind?
Dude, I actually kind of took a little break on that to look at this thread. Dude, you can make a wallet in 10 seconds, bro? Like, that's kind of crazy. I might have to take a look at Coinbase Wallet on my free time because I did not know it was that quick. I had a feeling they were gonna make it like super accessible, but like, dude, you can make it this quickly. And I mean, yeah, dude, I might have to take a look at it on my free time. But kind of a side question I had for you because you kind of brought it up. Is there a reason why you guys chose like around $3 to as like the mint
Yeah.
price? Like what was
Yeah,
yeah.
good question. So first of all, on the Coinbase Smart Wallet thing, I agree with you. Like most people just don't really know yet, which is cool because hopefully we can introduce that to a lot of people. And even if you already have a wallet, I think, everyone, I don't know, I've got several wallets, like I mentioned, everyone's got a bunch. I would encourage, like, it's worthwhile to create one more wallet to just go through the Coinbase Smart Wallet flow. And it's to the point where, like, you can go, I forget what the exact website is, but like Coinbase has their own like smart wallet website where you can go there and create a wallet. But um, whenever anyone asks me at this point, like, I'll tell them about the project. They're like, "How do I create a wallet?" I just send them to basecolors.com now. It's just as easy as anywhere else that I've seen. You click connect to wallet, you click create a new wallet, and you're done in 10 seconds. It basically launches the Coinbase Smart Wallet flow. And like I said, I'm sure they have the same thing on their website, but I would imagine on their website they actually have, even more information and even more sort of like buttons that you could potentially press. On basecolors.com, there's kind of like nothing you can do besides create a wallet if you don't have one, or connect one if you have one, or else you can just spend some time picking a color. So like in terms of like minimal distraction and maximum speed to create a new wallet, it's super straightforward. And I just love the fact that like when people don't know how to create a wallet now, I just send them to our website and it's like the easiest place to do it. But to your other question on price, definitely thought a lot about this. Sort of started, just thinking about it like from first principles, started by trying to sort of like establish a range of what a good price might be. And I was like, $10 or more just feels steep, like subjectively. There's 16 million of these things. That just feels like a lot. And then less than $1 feels like too little. First of all, I think, if you find like a quarter in the street, like you might not even pick it up. Like things that are sort of like worth less than $1 don't really feel like they are valuable. And I wanted, of course, people can get as many colors as they want, just like you could buy, 1,000 meme coins that are each priced at a cent or whatever. But I wanted to sort of send a message of like, one color is enough if you want to be a part of this thing. If you want to join, the community and be a part of Base Colors, just find one color that's meaningful to you, buy it, give it a meaningful name, and it's not going to break the bank, but it's not going to feel like something that's like really worthless and you need to get 100 colors in order to be a substantial part of this. Like one color is enough. So that was sort of like the boundaries. The other thing about having it at less than $1 is, we're doing this pay with credit card thing, and like paying for something that's less than $1 with a credit card kind of feels just like dumb, basically. And I guess another thing about being less than $1 is, I always found it kind of, it didn't feel good to me when I was, before all these L2s and like even before Solana. If you went and like, bought something on Ethereum or transacted on Ethereum and you wanted to buy, $50 worth of like an ERC20 or something, and then like you buy $50 worth and the gas fees were like $60. And I was just like, what am I doing here? Like, why am I paying more in fees than I'm paying for the actual thing that I want? And on base, it's obviously not as big of an issue. The base gas fees are like a cent or whatever. But I just didn't want to be anywhere near a place where it feels like you're paying anywhere near as much in fees as you are for the actual thing. And so being above $1 solves the credit card thing. It solves the fee sort of ratio relative to the price. It solves sort of the messaging of sending people, one color is enough, and these things on an individual basis have value. You don't need to have a ton of them, although you can if you want. So that was like sort of a few things justifying the lower bound. Um, and then within that, so you've sort of constrained to like a $1 to $10 range. And the lower end of that range felt better. So like $2, $3, $4, something like that. And the sort of naturally less arbitrary price point that emerged as making the most sense was 0.001 ETH. So, today that's around $3. Last week that might have been 350. A few months from now that could be $6 or $7. But we should stay within that like $1 to $10 range for at least a little while. And if Ethereum goes 10x and that ends up being $30 in a few years, like, okay, that's fine. It's still pretty accessible for most people. And obviously it's a little pricier at that point, but I think tying it to that 0.001 ETH just kind of felt right, felt better than doing like, oh yeah, everything is kind of arbitrarily 0.016 ETH or something kind of random like that.
I don't know about you, Modern, but I just minted the Say logo. We both have Say blockchain PFPs, Jake, by the way, in case you hadn't noticed.
Nice.
Not shilling Say or anything, just letting you know. We're definitely multi-chain. So I don't know about you, Modern, but I just minted the Say logo Crimson, which I finally found on the brand kit that they have. So that's awesome. I'm definitely going to be showing that to my Say community later on.
It's kind of funny you mentioned earlier, like one of the guys you work with, like tried to get the, your guys like pink logo color, and then like someone else got it and was like, I don't know what pink you got, but I got the real one. I noticed just I sent some colors to folks as like sort of just like literal tokens of appreciation for support over the years and everything like that, and just friends and family as well. And as I was going and like, looking at company logos, and I'd use like the color dropper, like that eyedropper thing, if you've seen that, to grab the hex code from a company logo. And I would go and I would realize like the logo on their Twitter bio, like their Twitter PFP, actually had like a very slightly different hex code than the one like on their website. And I basically realized like all these companies kind of have this little bit of like lack of uniformity and like cleanliness, where like I'm sure they just the logo got mixed up somewhere and they ended up uploading like a slightly different one or something to the profile. But it was kind of cool like going that deep on colors, seeing that like some of these companies aren't actually like consistent, and you need to actually do what you did basically and like go to the brand guidelines to figure out like what are they actually saying is like the true color, because someone could go and they could think that they have like Ethereum gray or something, but it's actually like not the right gray. And so any company that puts out the brand guidelines, they might be increasing the probability that someone can go out there and like squat on their color, but ideally they find out about the project themselves, and they can go get it themselves.
Yeah, I love that. That's pretty much what happened. So now we're like every single one of us is just wondering, which pink we were talking about. I do hope that the CEO is the one who got the real pink. Otherwise, one of our team members is going to have some explaining to do. That's going to be pretty fun. Jake, a few more questions about you. I don't want to take too much of your time. I'm sure you're busy. I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit more about yourself and like a little bit about maybe your experience in the space, because definitely like I checked out your profile and everything. It's really cool, everything that you do. You have a podcast, you have a blog, you have even a life advice section, which I was extremely curious about. Might even be hitting you up if one of these days, which I thought was amazing. So yeah, would you mind like sharing a little bit more on those personal projects?
Yeah, I'll start with the life advice just because you brought it up. that's another thing that I've probably been doing that for like a year now. And it's again, just one of those things that is a ton of fun for me. I'm like, if I think just from scratch about like how I would like to spend my life, obviously you want to do things that you enjoy, that give you energy, and ideally some things that sort of do some positive, have some positive impact in the world. And I'd always like sort of been that kind of like, big brother resource for like my younger brother, but also, being able to like have conversations about like big inflection point moments in life with like good friends and stuff. And I was like, I just don't have enough. Like, I only have one brother, and I don't have that many like super close friends. And so I wanted to kind of like expand the universe of people that I could have these types of calls with, like about like serious, important moments in life, like whether it's like, you're really miserable with your job, or, you're having a tough time with like your health or your relationship or whatever. And just like talk about these sort of like core fundamental things and help people think through them. And I always enjoy thinking about those sort of like fundamental pieces in life and the big decisions. And so I sort of put this link out there that people can go and, sign up for a life advice call. And we basically spend an hour talking about the person and, what problems are they facing? What are the things that they're thinking about? And almost always, I've done a couple dozen of these things at least. And almost always there's at least like one concrete, actionable sort of thing that they come up with on the call. And it's like, if you can spend an hour talking to some stranger and come out of it with something that actually can maybe have a significant positive impact in your life, I think like how better could I spend my time basically than being able to be that person for people. So it's been a ton of fun. And I would do it for free, but charging, forget what it is, maybe $100 for the hour or something like that, just sort of like helps me justify like there's, everyone's always got a bunch of things to do. And if I'm getting paid a little bit for the hour, then it helps to kind of justify taking the time and doing it. So that's the life advice. Podcast and blog I've had going for podcast probably been like 3 years, blog maybe 3.5. Basically, I started my career in investment banking, and after a couple of years, I decided to leave without really knowing, what I was going to do next, and just kind of like took that leap of faith. And after a couple months, I started like I kind of decompressed a bit. I went and traveled a bunch, and then I was ready to kind of like come back and get to work on something. And the thing that I wanted to do just kind of organically became writing, and I just started writing a ton. And I was writing and publishing a blog post every weekday for 6 or 7 months. This is in like 2020. And so I did that for a while, and then I started the podcast and just got to start talking to some really awesome people. And the podcast kind of became first of all, it was a way to, meet some awesome people, get to talk to some awesome people. It was a good excuse to do real deep dives on people that I really respected and admired, to learn a lot about them and sort of immerse myself in their perspective. And doing it on a weekly basis, it sort of like became like a cadence or like a forcing function for learning, which was really good as well. And obviously, it's helped me to build like a little bit of a following as well, which is cool. And I'm always meeting people, like even with this colors thing, like I've reached out to send people some colors, and they've been like, hey, I'm like a big long time listener of the podcast, which is just super cool when you like bump into someone on the internet who's already like listened to the podcast or even read some of my blogs. So those are both like sort of all three of those things, actually, like the blog, the podcast, and life advice, I think are kind of infrastructural like foundations for me for life, where I expect to do all of those things forever. And in a given year, I might only do like, 2 or 3 podcast episodes, or I might do 50 podcast episodes, but it's always going to be there. It's always a good sort of like built-in way for me to just reach out to someone who I want to talk to, have a great conversation, and post it for anyone to listen to. And similarly with the blogging, in a given year, I might, not be feeling like writing that much. I might be more focused on, building a product or whatever else it might be. But I have a place where if I write something and I want to get it out there, I can publish on the blog. So these are things that like, I love writing. I love talking to interesting people, and I love doing these life advice calls. And now I sort of have systems through which I can do them, forever.
Yeah, dude. Sounds really interesting, man. You sound like a genuine dude who makes an effort to kind of connect with as many people in the community as you can, and it sounds like you got a lot of cool things cooking over at Base Colors and your side endeavors as well. So you know, I I'm glad that you're the guy running the show, dude. And I hope that after the space I can find a color that works for me. And thanks for everything, bro. Thank you for pulling up, answering all these questions, kind of giving the audience a rundown of who you are, what you're cooking behind the scenes, and everything regarding base colors. I mean, because it's important that we give a platform to people who are like genuinely have good intentions and really want to build something kind of unique in the space. So I just thought that was really cool, dude. And I'm happy to have learned about base colors because prior to the show I was not familiar. And thank you for informing me as well as the other people in the audience, dude. Really cool.
Yeah, likewise, man. I appreciate it and appreciate you guys, doing what you're doing and shining a light on some interesting creators in the NFT space. And like I said, you guys got a great website, so it's great to be on here, and I appreciate all the time and everything. And yeah, I think with base colors, I don't know what's going to happen with it, but I'm certainly having a lot of fun building. And like you guys talked about earlier in the show, like I don't want to make a bunch of promises or set a bunch of expectations or publish a roadmap or anything like that. But for now, you can go and you can buy a color and you can name a color and you can tell a friend and maybe onboard some friends into crypto. And I'm definitely not working. So hopefully there will be some cool things to come, but I'll try to keep the expectations pretty low and deliver above and beyond.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jake. Sorry, I was rocking back there. Thank you, Mara, for jumping in. So yeah, once again, just thank you so much for joining us here at NFT Price Floor. We do like to, not just focus on the typical PFP and monkey degen out there minting NFTs for no reason. Even though both of us do have, some animal related PFP, I guess, kind of maybe not modern. But yeah, thank you so much for joining us in this space. And we're definitely going to be uploading this to YouTube as well so that we can have it over there and really enjoy talking to you, man. Hopefully, we can have you on another space when something this cool pops up.
Awesome. Yeah, I would love to do it. I think my natural sort of tendency is I think I'm a bit better with like sort of long form audio and like the blog that I mentioned, some long form writing, and it's always challenging to get my thoughts out there around base colors in like a tweet length format or like a website about page length format. So the more that I can sort of do things like this and be able to talk about things and answer some questions that I might not think to sort of like ask or answer myself, it's super helpful. And so I'm super glad to be able to do it with you guys today, and hopefully more in the future.
Thank you, Jake. Yep. We're just going to end it over here. Some of our team members do have to leave. They have a few more things to do on Friday because most of them are in Europe. By the way, I feel like it's 8 p.m. for them.
Little Friday evening space.
Little Friday, yeah. Some of them are in Spain. Some of them might be a little bit earlier, but still, I'm pretty sure they're just getting ready to get out there. But yeah, once again, thank you so much, Jake. Really happy to have you here, and hopefully we can have you over again. Modern, thank you so much for joining us. Any last words?
Dude, that was a great fucking conversation, bro. I am, dude, grateful, to be on, to have had this conversation, and like I said earlier, learn more about base colors. Dudes are really cool. I mean, it's a cool project, and I look forward to hearing more from you guys.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Get your colors.
Let's go. Get your colors. I have to already. Let's go.